embedded in a
Sir,
DFT
slides are not
transformation.
visible. Slides are not visible, sir.
Hold on. Can you see now?
Yes, sir. Now visible.
So last class we had discussed about the unitary transformation, which is embedded in a DFT matrix, and we had discussed like how you can take a vector with digital samples or discrete samples x0 to x of n minus 1 length n to the frequency domain and calculate its DFT coefficients by multiplying a matrix. So today we will look at the periodicity of both the x of n as well as x of k. So that means we have two variables which are both discretized, frequency as well as the time, and we get periodic or periodicity in both time as well as in the Fourier coefficients. So one thing to note is that no information about the unused samples of xn can be obtained from the inverse DFT. That means if you are given as a length n signal in the time domain and you have transformed it into the DFT coefficients of length n, so when you want to recover back the original signal of length n in discrete time, you take the IDFT. So you do not know what happens beyond n and less than 0. Suppose you are supposed to, generally in a DTFT, you have samples of x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity, and you calculate the like the Fourier transform of that kind of a signal, and that signal is supposed to be aperiodic. So you have x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity, and it is aperiodic. Now we have taken out a chunk of samples from that x of n that is only capital N length long, and we have taken its forward DFT to get a capital N length forward DFT xk. Now I'm saying that if you inverse reverse or you do an inverse DFT, you should get back x of n. So x of n that you get back will be only n sample long. You don't know anything about what happens before 0 and what happens before after n minus 1. Okay, so we can assign values to the unavailable samples only if we have additional information. That is, if you have like known from beforehand that x of n has finite length n, then we can assign value x of n equal to 0 for n less than 0 and n greater than equal to n. This is some information that I have prior to taking the forward DFT. And if xn is known to be periodic with n, then we can use the periodic extension to obtain the values for all n. So generally, when we take the DTFT, we take a periodic signal of length n, or that n can be from minus infinity to plus infinity, and we take the forward DTFT of that. So when you take the forward DTFT of that, you get x of e to the power j omega. That x of e to the power j omega you are sampling. So today we will see like you will be sampling that x e to the power j omega. When you sample that, you will be sampling at n points. Those n points will be your DFT coefficients. So what I'm saying is that if you take those n DFT coefficients and do an inverse DFT, you are supposed to get back an n point x of n. You don't know what happens before 0 and what happens after n minus 1. Okay, so that is something that we should understand. So I had shown you this particular diagram, and I told that DFT only sees this particular chunk of the samples, and you take the DFT of this, you will get x of k. Then you take IDFT of that, you will get a sequence which is always a periodic sequence. And to take out the original x of n z from 0 to n minus 1, you have to multiply a rectangular pulse with this. Okay, so you don't know what happens before 0 and you don't know what happened after n minus 1. That is something to think about, because you are extracting n sample chunk from and a periodic signal x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity, and you're taking its DFT. Okay. So this was the idea. If you allow the indices k and n in the twiddle factor e to the power minus j 2 pi kn by n, then if you allow those k and n to take values outside the range 0 to capital N minus 1, then you can see that both for the case of small n and for the case of small k, you will get this relationship. So here you are assuming that k is periodic with capital N period, and here you are assuming that n is periodic with capital N period. In both cases, you are getting Wn Kn. This is the double periodicity property of the twiddle factor in DFT. So generally what we do is we write the periodic version of the Fourier series coefficients as a discrete Fourier series and denote it as x tilde k. Okay, so this is the periodic version of x of k, and that has been obtained by x of n, Wn kn, n going from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so you see, if you take the DFT of the signal x of n, which is of length capital N, then you get a DFT coefficients, which is also capital N length, but that set of DFT coefficients, they are periodic, and the period is n. So similarly, we can see that if you take the IDFT from x of k, that is, if you try to recover x of n from x of k using the inverse DFT, and you allow n to take values over outside the set 0 to n minus 1, then the values of x of n will repeat with fundamental period capital N. So this periodic sequence can be called the inverse discrete Fourier series. So this is written like this, x tilde of n. So now this is a very important statement. All signals with the same samples in the range 0 to capital N minus 1, but different values elsewhere, have the same DFT coefficients. Okay, you have to be very careful with DFT. So if you take x of n, say xa of n, that is some sinusoid going from some minus infinity to plus infinity, and you have taken out n samples from that sinusoid, then you have taken the DFT. You have another sinusoid which is different from the first one in some way, okay, beyond 0 and n minus 1. So it is identical to the first sinusoid. So B sinusoid is identical to the first sinusoid only between 0 to n minus 1, but it is different from the previous sinusoid beyond that range. Then if you take the n samples of both A and B, you will get identical samples. And if you take the DFT, you will get identical DFT coefficients. But originally, A and B sinusoids were different. Okay, this is something that you should understand. And if they are treated by the n-point DFT as periodic sequences with period n. So if you inverse DFT, that n-point chunk that you obtain from A sinusoid and B sinusoid, then for both cases, you will get repeating patterns of n samples. That means you are going to get this, and repeating patterns beyond 0 and beyond n minus 1. So is this idea clear? So this is the periodic nature in both frequency as well as in time domain for DFT coefficients. So this is different from DTFT. In DTFT, if you know x of n exactly from minus infinity to plus infinity, you can imagine that there is a sequence, and that sequence is discrete, say from minus 100 to plus 200 samples, and you have taken its DTFT. You have got x e to the power j omega going from 0 to 2 pi. and you take the inverse DTFT, you will get back identical that sample or that set of samples from -100 to +200. There is no ambiguity. Okay. Only thing is that XE to the power j omega is periodic with 2 pi. That is the only thing that happens. But when you take inverse DTFT of x to the power j omega, you are always going to get back that full set of samples. But here what happens, you have taken a smaller set of samples 0 to n minus 1 of the original signal going from -infinity to +infinity, and you are saying that I don't know what is happening before 0 and I don't know what happens after n minus 1. Then if you take the IDFT, you always get this kind of a sequence. Okay. Fine, then let's move on. If this idea is clear, then shall we move on? So we get.
Sir, 2-3 people are waiting in the joining section.
Okay.
Please let them.
Okay. So how do we get DFT from DTFT? That is the crucial point here. What is the connection between DTFT and DFT? So if you sample a continuous time signal every t seconds, that means you take xc of t and you get x of n by sampling every t seconds, then you get a DTFT, which is a periodic spectrum, and it repeats every 2 pi by t radians per second. Okay, that is what we had learned during our discussions on DTFT. Now we will see that if you sample the DTFT x tilde e to the power j omega of a sequence x of n every 2 pi by n radians, then you can obtain the DFT, which causes periodic repetitions of xn every n samples, if you take the IDFT of these coefficients. So if you sample x tilde e to the power j omega at that e to the power j omega, if you see, omega is a continuous axis. Omega is the discrete frequency, or it is connected to the analog frequency as small omega is equal to capital Omega into t, and it is a discrete frequency, but it is like I will say that it is a continuous spectrum. Omega is a continuous spectrum. Small omega is a continuous spectrum. Capital Omega is a continuous spectrum. X of n is discrete in time, but x tilde e to the power j omega is a continuous variable, and it is continuous with respect to omega. So if you see here, you are sampling 2 pi by, at every 2 pi by n radians, you are sampling n samples. So k goes from 0 to n minus 1, and k is coming by 2 pi by n into k. The k goes from 0 to n minus 1 to get xk. So like that. So this is your resolution 2 pi by n radians at which you are sampling the DTFT. So if you recall, all samples of an aperiodic sequence x of n, n going from -infinity to +infinity, can be uniquely recovered from its DTFT x tilde e to the power j omega using the inverse DTFT. Please make this note that they can be uniquely recovered. If you integrate over 0 to 2 pi of omega, then x of n can be uniquely recovered. But suppose we sample x tilde e to the power j omega at n equally spaced frequencies, that is, we are sampling at 2 pi by n into k. So we are doing this summation. So x of k is defined as equal to samples of x tilde e to the power j omega, where the samples are taken at intervals of 2 pi by n radians. Then you get this formula, which yields k x of k going from k equal to 0 to n minus 1. So this gives you a set of n DFT coefficients which are periodic with n, and if you take the inverse DTFT of this, you will get x tilde of n. You will not get x of n, you will get x tilde of n, which is a periodic version of x of n, where x of n goes from 0 to n minus 1. This is the distinction between DTFT and DFT. Is this clear? There is a connection between DFT and DTFT, and there is a difference. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So what is happening? If you can also imagine that the DTFT is equal to the Z transform evaluated on the unit circle, because if you evaluate the Z transform in the unit circle, you are getting DTFT. Z equal to 1 into e to the power j omega. So you are evaluating x of z by putting z equal to e to the power j omega, r into e to the power j omega, r is equal to 1, so 1 into e to the power j omega. So if you sample the unit circle also at n equally spaced intervals, then you get this, which is equal to the DFT coefficients. Okay. So pictorially, we can see it like this. So this blue line is your Z transform on the unit circle. So if you evaluate x of z on the unit circle, z equal to e to the power j omega, you get this blue line. If you sample this blue line at samples spaced 2 pi by n apart from each other, and you take n samples on the unit circle, so k goes from 0 to n minus 1, then you observe that you are getting an n point DFT. And if you go beyond n minus 1, so this is a circle. So as you keep on increasing the number of samples, you keep getting repeated versions of x of k. So I think the periodicity with respect to k is clear from this. If you don't densify the samples, but you keep taking more and more samples, then you are getting repeated x of k. There is no new information available. So x of k is periodic with capital N, and if you take the inverse inverse DFT, sorry, of x of k, then you will get x tilde of n, which is again periodic with fundamental period n, according to this diagram. Okay. There are two things which are periodic. One, the DFT coefficients, and x tilde of n, which is obtained from taking the IDFT of the DFT coefficient. Okay. Well, again, we try to connect between DTFT and DFT. So in DTFT, if we know all values of DTFT x tilde e to the power j omega in the continuous range omega 0 to 2 pi, we can recover all values of x of n from n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity using the IDTFT or the inverse DTFT. So we now ask the question, how many samples of the sequence x of n can we recover from the samples of DTFT? Okay, that means the DFT coefficients. Samples of DTFT means the DFT coefficients. So how many samples of x of n can we recover? So the answer is we can recover only capital N number of samples. So we will derive that out. So x of k is defined, or the DFT coefficient is defined as being equal to n samples of the DTFT, continuous frequency spectrum. So you can get something like this. So we first recall that the discrete Fourier sequence x tilde of k corresponding to DFT xk is periodic in k with period n. So therefore, there should be a periodic sequence x tilde n plus n equal to x tilde n with Fourier coefficients related to the samples of DTFT. So what we do is we play around with this summation index. We divide the infinite summation into an infinite number of finite summations, each of length n. Okay. So we are trying to answer the question that if in DTFT we can get back all the samples of x of n from minus infinity to plus infinity by taking the inverse DTFT, then by taking IDFT, how many samples of x of n can I get? Okay, that is the question that we are answering. So earlier you had this equation which had n going from minus infinity to plus infinity. So what we will do here is we are going to put L from minus infinity to plus infinity and n from ln to ln plus n minus 1. So this is a n chunk summation, n point summation. xn e to the power minus j 2 pi by n kn. So we have changed the summation into two summations. So n going from minus infinity to plus infinity in this equation has been changed into an infinite sequence of n length summations. So we next change the index of the inner summation from n to n minus ln. So here we put n minus ln. And we interchange the order of summations. So we put x of n minus ln. So the index will change from 0 to n minus 1. So we bring this sigma out here and we put this L sigma in here. So we get summation L equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of n minus ln into e to the power minus j 2 pi by n kn. So the term here is the periodic repetition of x of n at time period capital N. So we denote it as x tilde of n. So this is just x of n of length n minus n, so repeating at every n samples. So you see this is just x of n repeating at every n samples. So this operation is called periodization. Okay, this is called periodization or periodic replication or periodic extension of x of n every capital N samples. It is periodic with fundamental period n. So you have a discrete time sequence x tilde of n which is periodic with capital N period. So I can take its Fourier series. So we can express x tilde of n as a Fourier series. So this Fourier series can be now written like this. And you can have the Fourier series coefficients like this. So if you compare this equation with this equation, you see the summation is same. So this summation is same. And here you have x tilde of n. So this is x tilde of n, e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n. And here you have 1 by n. So we can now write 1 by n xk. This entire thing is xk. This left hand side. This is xk. Isn't it? This is your x tilde of n. Here you have x tilde of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi by n kn. So now you can write ck tilde, which is the Fourier series coefficients of the periodic sequence x tilde of n, equal to 1 by n xk, which is the DFT coefficients of x of n, the original x of n. So now you can write this expression where you are connecting the samples of DTFT with the Fourier series coefficients of x tilde of n. Ck tilde is the Fourier series coefficients of x tilde of n, where x tilde of n is supposed to be a periodic sequence made up of like periodic repetitions of x of n. X of n is n length long. So what have we achieved? We have achieved a relationship between CK tilde and the samples of DTFT. So if you substitute this 7.53 into 7.51, so if you substitute to the right hand side here, then you get this expression. This is equal to this expression. This now shows how to compute the periodic sequence x tilde n from the samples xk of x tilde e to the power j omega using the IDFT. This is IDFT formula. So to recover the original aperiodic sequence xn from x tilde of n, we have to use this equation. That means we have to take out one chunk of n length samples. So now we have answered the question. Since x tilde of n is periodic with period n, we can recover n samples of xn at most. We can recover only n distinct samples of xn from n coefficients or DFT coefficients xk. So whenever you take the DFT coefficients, you can only get capital N samples of x tilde of n uniquely. Whatever happens beyond capital N, that is all repeated. So in DTFT, you can get back the entire sequence from minus infinity to plus infinity. So xn going from minus infinity to plus infinity, which is an aperiodic sequence or a non-periodic sequence, whose DTFT you have taken and gone to x tilde e to the power j omega, where omega is a continuous variable from 0 to 2 pi. Okay. If you take the DTFT, you can get back the full x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity. But if you sample DTFT and you get DFT, then whenever you take the inverse DFT, you are only getting back capital N number of samples of x of n. Is this difference clear between DTFT and DFT? Is this difference clear? So DFT is producing ambiguous results. Be careful. So you cannot assume that if you have taken the samples of DTFT, you will behave identical to what DTFT does. DTFT is different from DFT. Although you have derived DFT from DTFT, DTFT is mathematically more dense and rigorous compared to DFT. DFT you have approximated from the DTFT. The original continuous variable omega has been sampled and you have got only n samples. So how can you get back the full x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity when you have only capital N samples from a infinite number of samples of x e to the power j omega going from 0 to 2 pi? Are you understanding what I'm asking? You have DTFT x e to the power j omega, omega going from 0 to 2 pi, continuous variable. It has infinite number of values in that interval. Isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So if you take the inverse DTFT, you will get the full aperiodic sequence x of n, n going from minus infinity to plus infinity. But the moment you sample DTFT and you go to DFT, you are left with only capital N number of samples in the frequency domain. So x of k is going from k0 to n minus 1. So using these n samples, what can you recover of x of n? So we have answered the question that you can only recover capital N samples of x of n. You cannot recover the full x of n going from minus infinity to plus infinity. You can only get x of n where n goes from 0 to capital N minus 1. And whatever else you get, that x tilde of n, it is all repeated versions of x of n. Okay, I hope this is clear. I have explained again and again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let us look at a very important idea of how many samples you should take of the DFT or DTFT, sorry. So this is something that will give you an idea how to sample DTFT. So suppose you have a 12-point sequence. So L is equal to 12. So the first figure, figure A, happens going from 0 to L minus 1. So this is a 12-point sequence. And its DTFT is shown here. This is a continuous spectrum. Variable omega is continuous. It has infinite number of values inside 0 to 2 pi interval. Am I clear? Here, this is mod of x e to the power j omega. Omega is a continuous variable. So if you take the IDT of t of this, you are getting back this L point sequence, which is an aperiodic sequence. And fortunately, it is non-zero from 0 onwards only. It is 0 for negative numbers. So now I will take the samples of DTFT. How many samples I will take? First, I will take 16 samples in the interval 0 to 2 pi. So I have capital N equal to 16. So I get xk, where k goes from 0 to 15. Okay? Between 0 to 2 pi. So I have 16 samples of this continuous DTFT, and I get discrete DFT, discrete Fourier transform, xk, which is going from 0 to 15. So I have 16 samples. And I will take the IDFT of all these 16 samples. So if I take the IDFT, I will get a periodic repetition. This is what I have taught you earlier. Is it not?
Yes, yes.
If you see this diagram, this is what you are going to get. So you are going to get a periodic repetition with period capital N equal to 16. Okay? So you get a periodic repetition of this sequence with capital N equal to 16. Yeah, I'm getting some noise. Please mute yourself. Everyone mute yourself. Okay. So I have a 16-point periodic repetition of this sequence. So the original sequence was only 12-point long. That means all values after L equal to 11 were zeros. So this chunk and this chunk, they are distinct. They don't overlap. You agree with that? The original sequence was only 12-point long. So when I took the IDFT with N equal to 16, I will get a periodic repetition with each chunk 16, 16 length long. So I will not have overlap between these two set of samples. But if I reduce from N equal to 16 to N equal to 8, then what do I get? I get overlap between the periodic repetitions. So this x tilde of N cannot be used to get back x of N. Okay? So what has happened here? Just like you had downsampling operation, I had taught you downsampling operation. So in downsampling operation in the frequency domain, the spectra were overlapping. That means there was aliasing in the frequency domain due to downsampling in the time domain. Now you are sampling in the frequency domain. So what is happening due to sampling in the frequency domain? You are getting time domain aliasing. Is this clear? So the chunks which are repeating, they overlap with each other and they corrupt each other. So you can never get back xn from this x tilde of n. From this x tilde of n, you can recover this x of n by just putting a rectangular pulse around this. You can get back this. But from here, you cannot get back because there is aliasing. And this aliasing is happening in the time domain. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So this is something new which you did not study earlier. You have always studied frequency domain aliasing, okay, due to time domain sampling. Now you have frequency domain sampling to get DFT from DTFT, and you are taking IDFT which produces a periodic repetition of x of n, and that has a risk of causing time domain aliasing. So in image processing, this is serious. If this happens, then you get what is called wrap around error. Okay. So it produces very strong errors, and you can see it visually as bad distortions in the image due to this wraparound error. So how many samples of DFT you should take depends upon how many samples of x of n you have. Okay, I hope this idea is clear. This is a very important idea. So generally, we blindly take some number of samples of DTFT whenever we want to take the inverse DFT and we want to calculate x of n. So we have to be very careful how to sample DTFT, because DTFT is a continuous spectrum. So how many samples of DTFT you should take, you have to be very careful. So this is the full explanation of whatever I had just shown you. So all of you can go through this. So when n is greater than equal to L, where L is the length of the original x of n, then the shifted replicas do not overlap. So this is the condition for avoiding time domain aliasing. So then if you put a rectangular pulse over x tilde of n from 0 to L minus 1, you can get back your original signal. Okay, I think you have just read this through. Let me go to the next slide. But when n is less than L, okay, suppose there the L was 12 and you had taken in the last figure n as 8, then it is not possible to recover xn from its periodic extension x tilde of n, because the shifted replicas of x of n overlap. So this is called time domain aliasing. So the frequency domain sampling period delta omega equal to 2 pi by n should satisfy the condition such that n is greater than equal to L. Only then you will avoid time domain aliasing. There are so many concepts in DSP. Every chapter is full of concepts. And therefore it is easy to study DSP because the equations are simple, but difficult to master it. And there are so many places where you will have pitfalls, and you, as a practical DSP engineer, you'll have to really bug your head how to use these concepts. Okay, this is fine.
Yes.
So we come to another concept, which is called zero padding. So I don't know if I have time to cover this today. We can cover it tomorrow. So zero padding means that you have a DFT taken from some DTFT. I'll just show you a picture. So this is a 4-point signal and you have taken its DTFT. It is coming out to be a continuous spectrum, something like this, continuous variable omega, 0 to 2 pi interval. Now you want to sample this DTFT. You have taken 4 samples. Those 4 samples are appearing where? One is appearing at omega equal to 0. Then one appears here. Another one appears here. That means you are taking 2 pi by 4. 2 pi by capital N, 2 pi by 4. That is the first sample appears at pi by 2. The next sample appears at pi. Then appears at 3 pi by 2. Okay. So you have got these 4 samples, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this misses out this line, it misses out this curve, it misses out this curve, and it misses out this curve. Am I clear? You will get only 4 samples from this DTFT. This DTFT is a continuous thing. You will not get this dashed curve. You will only get this value 4. You will get this value 0, 0, 0. That's what you're getting from the DFT, okay, coefficients. The DFT coefficients xk are 4, 0, 0, 0. Whereas the spectrum was something so nice. So how would you understand what is the DTFT? Although you can reconstruct back from 4, 0, 0, 0, this signal, you can reconstruct back by taking IDFT. But you don't have an idea about the spectrum, which is continuous. So what should we do? We'll zero pad this guy. That means we will increase its length. If we increase its length, then we can increase capital N here. We can increase the density of sampling of the DTFT. So if I take more number of samples, then we can get something like this. Here we have taken N capital N equal to 8. So we have 1 sample here, 1 sample here, 1 sample here, 1 sample here, 1 sample here. If you plot it, it is a better approximation to the original continuous DTFT. Similarly, if you plot this xk, this set of xk, it is a much better approximation to the continuous variable DTFT. So here you have taken capital N equal to 16. And in all the cases, when you take the inverse DFT, you are going to get back this sequence. So here it is a 0 padded sequence from 0 to 15. Okay. This is a 0 padded sequence from 0 to 7. And this is a 0 padded, and this is not a 0 padded sequence. This is just 0 to 3. Okay. So 0 padding is just giving you a better visualization of mod of x of k if you plot it with respect to k. And it is a better approximation of x of e to the power j omega. That is what. It is not giving you any new information. Okay. It is always reconstructing back this signal only. This is the idea of 0 padding. We'll do it in mathematical detail next class tomorrow. So I think all of you are okay with that schedule of end semester, 10 to 1 on Friday.
No, sir. We have a test from 11 to 1 on Friday.
For which subject?
Linear algebra.
How many students in that course?
Sir, around 250 or even more than that.
250 students in that course.
Yes.
Then what do we do? What do we do regarding our course?
Sir, I mean, he's taking in his slot only. So
What do we do? How do I hold the? Then you people have to come in the afternoon. So in the
sir,
afternoon.
Afternoon is fine.
So all of you are then comfortable? 3 to 6 in the afternoon, Friday.
Sir, afternoon is test of automotive instrumentation.
So how many students in that course?
18.
18 students can be adjusted. We have 100 students here. So otherwise, it is difficult for me to hold the end semester exam. Okay. So then Friday afternoon, you people request that faculty to shift his exam. Otherwise, I don't know how to hold your exam.
Okay, sir, I will talk to him.
So on Friday, 3 to 6. Is everyone okay with that?
Sir, can you keep it on 4 to 7? 2 to 4 QE people have some test.
Sir, it won't be possible after like any time after 5 p.m. won't be possible since placement exams would be there.
Yeah, so that's what you people are having problems. That's what I know. That's why I'm keeping it 3 to 6. If you want, I can keep it 2 to 5 also. You want me to keep 2 to 5? Then it doesn't overlap with your placement. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
So 2 to 5 would be a better idea, na, on Friday. So you people have a discussion with whatever faculty whose exams are coinciding with this schedule. So 2 to 5 is your end semester exam. I think this is final. Let me not change the schedule again. So somebody was saying that 10 to 1 is not suitable because there are 250 students. I cannot touch a course with 250 students. But some other course which has less students, that can be slightly adjusted. So Friday 2 to 5. If this is clear, then I will freeze this schedule.
Hello, sir. QE students have a test from 2 to 4 on Friday.
You people shifted. QE has less number of students, isn't it?
Sir, but our
Last-
course is with the manufacturing students. So again, that course also has more than 120 people.
Then I cannot schedule this. Then do you want to come on Saturday? Saturday you don't have anything, right?
Saturday we have
Saturday.
tests, sir. Data analytics test.
Then how did it come on Saturday? Saturday you're not supposed to take any test. Then forget about it. Then you just come on from 2 to 5 on Friday. Okay. I don't know what to do.
Sir, any slot between 12 o'clock or to 5 o'clock is great, means on Friday.
I'm saying not 2 to 5.
Yes, sir. That's
That's
fine.
it. No, it's not possible to split the exam. 2 to 5 continuous, 3 hours. We are not joking here, right? This is a core course, damn it. Electrical engineering core course for BTech. I'm not playing games here. Okay. Make sure that you are there from 2 to 5. Otherwise, you are not writing the exam. You are marked absent. Everyone should be getting this clear. Final schedule 2 to 5, Friday. I am not doing any more juggling around. This is a core course. Please give due importance to this. Am I clear? I'm writing out an ERP mail to all of you. This will be a final schedule, 2 to 5, Friday. Those who are having problems, please discuss with your concerned faculty. I cannot change further. Okay. I give you enough flexibility. Full syllabus. Full syllabus. Don't ask me any questions. Syllabus is full from the day 1 to the day end. Okay. Nothing, no relaxation on syllabus. 3 hour solid end semester exam. And this is core course DSP. Questions are going to be tricky and very tough. So please be prepared for it. It's not going to be a walkover. And CGPA is going to be very, very tough to get here. EX grade is going to be very challenging. Your preparation has to be top class to get EX grade. So I'm making sure that this is a core course. It has to be given due importance. It is a core in electrical. DSP is a challenging course. Okay. So you have to be really, really good to get an EX grade there. So I hope I am clear. 2 to 5 Friday. I am sending out a mail right now to all of you.